Hi, ladies. Okay, I wanted to give you a sample. I know I talk about this Dutch test all the time, and it leaves a lot to the imagination in terms of what does it show and how is it read and what are we trying to understand. So I'm going to show you a sample test. So this is a sample test that has come direct from the lab. It is not a client of mine. It is nobody that you know. There's not even a true name that's on it. And I'm going to share my screen with you and walk you through very quickly. We're not going to spend too much time because, again, where we spend the time is when you, the individual, have actually done the test. And this is what I'm talking about, in that for me as a practitioner, and I think this is what makes myself different and what makes the Hormone Project so different, is that it's really the eyes and the skill set of who is not just looking at the one test or the individual result within the test, meaning I am not just looking at one part of your hormones, I'm looking at the whole picture. I am not just looking at one aspect of your adrenals. I'm looking at the whole picture, your thyroid, so on and so forth. And so when I have the ability to look at your blood, to look at your Dutch, possibly a GI map test, depending on what's going on in your individual body, it helps to really pull back and then so pull away from it and then be able to narrow in the lens and the focus on what the next steps are to help you feel better and to move through the struggles that you have going on, to help to heal your body and to create a healthier, more vital version of yourself moving forward. So I'm going to share my screen here. Wait, give me one sec. I want to make sure that we've actually got the sample pulled up. Okay, here we go. Okay, so you should be able to see this. And so what you'll see here, so it's about 14, 15 pages of results, but about 6 pages of information that we take you through. So it'd be myself, it would be one of our hormone health coaches that are taking you through the results of what your Dutch are. So we don't pre-record these. This is done in live time with you, so you can ask your questions and really understand it. The first page is a summary. So this is telling us more about what's happening overall within your sex hormones, your estrogen. Here we're looking at that total amount of estradiol, mainly coming from your ovaries, your progesterone, and your testosterone. And then what we're looking at on the summary is what is going on with your adrenals. How much cortisol are you producing? How much cortisol is freely active and available within your body? What is your total DHEA production? So this is giving us a greater sense of what's happening within your androgenic hormones in your body. But that summary, we don't spend a ton of time in. The summary is just that. It's giving us, I always describe this the same way. It's like being in a plane or a helicopter and you're over top of the scene. And so you can get a general sense of what's going on, but not as much as if you were literally on foot on the actual, scene of the event of the crime, whatever the heck it is that's going on, and you're foraging on foot and getting to see up close what's happening. The summary is being in the chopper, it's being above, it's getting like the 360 view. The other pages below are like, all right, we've landed the plane now, we've landed the chopper, we are actually going to start to sort through what the heck is going on here. That's the next elements of the test. And that is also the conversation. So getting the test done and you getting the results as an individual, it's not the same as when you're working with somebody who understands your body, who has taken your intake. It's not even the same. Like, you could contact Dutch, you can have a 15 to 30-minute consult for your results. They don't know you. They don't know your health history. They don't understand and know what's been going on. So it's not as gritty in its goodness as when you're working with somebody in that one-on-one capacity. Okay, so as we scroll down, the way this test works is that every other page is all the black and white information, meaning like the written text. What hormone or what metabolite are we testing? What were your personal results? What are the ranges in regards to, are you in your fertility years? Are we looking in terms of luteal range? Are we looking menopausally? And then they take everything on these pages. So as you'll see here on the second page, all this writing, it's like, what kind of chemistry are we talking about? And then they map it out in a picture book for you. And this, as your practitioner, is what I spend time. Let me zoom out here. taking you through an understanding. This upper left-hand corner is all the androgenic hormones. How much DHEA is being produced primarily in your adrenals? This is really important to understand your resiliency, your drive, your get up and go, your full adrenal health picture. We also need that DHEA to be supporting and producing healthy amounts of estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. DHEA is important for muscle building. It's important for our immune support, for our brain health, our heart health, cognition, and so much more. Also looking at your testosterone, and then looking at how do you metabolize? How do you break these hormones down, right? We make a hormone, we use a hormone. Now we have to break it down, make it into something that's water soluble, and start to detoxify it, move it out through our body, liver, gut, methylation, urine, sweat, bowels, right? There's a lot that goes into that. And so this is important in understanding is that in blood work, maybe we can see your DHEA or DHEAS once it's been sulfated. Maybe we see your testosterone, but these issues aren't showing the big thing that's going on until we can see, like this woman's results here. She is pushing all of her androgenic hormones down what's called a 5-alpha reductase pathway. This is like putting the gas pedal or gasoline onto those androgens, DHEA and testosterone. And this makes things more potent. If her levels of 5-alpha reductase, 5A, are very high, she'll convert that into something called DHT, which is 3 times more potent than the testosterone that would be freely circulating in your blood. And so this woman probably will be suffering from hair loss, lack of patience. She's going to have acne. She's going to be growing hair on her chin, around her nipples. She's going to have oily skin. She's going to be having some inflammation. She's going to be struggling for sure. And then we look up here, what's going on with progesterone. This woman is tested, her ranges, her metabolites of progesterone are sitting in a perimenopausal range. So this is, again, really important when we're looking at what age are you at, what stage are you at in life, what are your symptoms? It tells us more. And then we're looking here at what's happening within your estrogen. This woman, this is a clear picture of excess estrogen or unopposed estrogen, estrogen dominance. Of all the hormones we're looking at here, her highest level of hormones are happening all within her estrogen. Estrone, which this being high is telling us that within her fat cells, within the adipose tissue, there's a lot of estrogen activity. Probably not being helped by this high 5A pathway that's aromatizing into more estrogen. Her estradiol, which is coming specifically from the ovaries, also high, and her estriol is sitting high. And so this is what is happening in terms of the amount of estrogen circulating in her body, the amount of production, and what is there. Now we have to look at, well, what are the breakdown pathways, the metabolites, the detoxification pathways of her estrogen? These 3 arrows here represent her phase 1 detoxification, completely dependent upon her lifestyle, the health of her gut, and the health of her liver. So we have the 16-hydroxy pathway. When this pathway is really high, this is not good news for her breast health. This is not good news, for her heart health. This is not good news, for her body in an inflammatory way at all. This is a proliferative pathway. It's what makes things grow. So think, cyst in the breast, fibroids, cancer as well too. There's a very strong link between seeing these pathways really elevated and a woman to have greater vulnerability for those things happening. The 4-hydroxy pathway, this is known as the quinone and the more carcinogenic pathway. So if we see a woman who's moving everything down this pathway, it doesn't mean that she has a disease. It doesn't mean that she has cancer. It doesn't mean any of that. What it means is this is the body going from giving us a yellow light to like a red light, like halt, pay attention, look at me. You need to do something to help my body do a better job at detoxifying and moving this out of my system. And then we've got the 2-hydroxy pathway, which is, it's the safer of the 3 pathways. It's the least carcinogenic. It's the more protective pathway. And so, I always say, like, green is for go. Let's move it down this pathway to get things out. And then when we get down to the bottom here, we are looking at the conversion of 2-hydroxy into 2-methoxy. This represents our body's ability to methylate, to bind to neutralize, to make less harmful and offensive in our system. This is where we require our antioxidants. Glutathione is the primary one that we are looking at to be able to do that job. If women have a difficult time methylating for reasons that could be upstream in her body, a lot of inflammation, gut issues, liver issues, she has an autoimmune condition, you will oftentimes see that this genetic SNP, COMT, this is an enzyme actually, is suffering as well. And there's many things we can do to support that so that we can help this woman's methylation activity increase. So her body does a better job at helping to not only move things down this this phase one detoxification, but actually help to get things out. What your urine, your sweat, and your poop is made up of is really, really important. And there's things that we do to help support that. Then what we're taking a look at, again, you've got all this info that is graphed into a picture for you. I talk a lot about the HPA axis, which is your hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. When anybody is talking about adrenal issues, adrenal exhaustion, adrenal fatigue, overstimulated adrenals, this is actually what you are talking about. And this head represents your head. So what is your body sensing in terms of stress? And then how is your body managing that? So this also measures melatonin, which, yes, this is a sleep hormone, but melatonin is a massively important hormone as an antioxidant. We produce a lot of it behind the eye in the pineal gland, and the rest of it we produce in the gut. So again, gut health, it always comes back to that. We can also then see, based in the adrenals, what is actually happening. What is the total amount of cortisol that this woman is producing? Of that, how is her body metabolizing, breaking down, and using it? Is she preferring to use it more as free-form cortisol available in her system, or cortisone? In this woman's case here, we can see that she is producing a high amount of cortisol, but her body is converting majority of it into cortisone, which is the dead, inactive form of cortisol. So you can see she's flatlined here. This woman is probably exhausted all day long. She is surviving her life, definitely not thriving in it. She's just getting through the day because she has to, but she doesn't have the mojo. She doesn't have the energy. She most definitely doesn't have the stamina. She probably isn't exercising right now because she just doesn't feel good. Or if she is, she's going to choose higher intensity things because it'll give her a short-term burst of dopamine, but then she is exhausted after. Her cravings are up. She's not losing weight, probably has some puffiness and inflammation, and most likely not sleeping very well at night, and then wakes up feeling groggy, hungover, and just like, fuck, not feeling good at all. And this is the woman that, if she were to go to the doctor, would probably get blood work done and fall in the line of fine for everything. So she feels like garbage. She goes and gets the testing and is told, you're totally fine. And this is why I'm such a huge advocate for functional testing, not just the testing, but the true understanding. Okay. And then we go into looking at the organic acids. And this is really important because markers like B12 and B6 are really essential for proper detoxification and support of our hormones. And when you see things like above range, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have too much. What it could mean is that your body is actually excreting too much of it and you're not holding on to it. So it could actually be a deficiency, and we need to support that. The other things here is looking at your neurotransmitters, which impact your mood, dopamine, VMA, which this is an important part of understanding the relationship with your adrenals, is that if you're somebody that is, fight or flight all the time, you really function off of adrenaline more than you do cortisol as your first resolve. Adrenaline is an acute use hormone. It is not meant for the long term. It is not meant for the chronic, and that can set you up for a lot of wear down and tear down. And then oxidative stress. So you'll see here the functional lab range is between 0 and 5.2. I don't love to see this above 2. So seeing this woman's results at 4.3, she has a systemic level of inflammation in her body that is now starting to impact her DNA health. This is called oxidative stress and is starting to damage the DNA. So this needs our attention. And what I love about this test, and as you scroll down, this is information from the lab to help to understand. But again, they've never done an actual assessment on you. They're just simply reading your chemistry. They're testing your data, and then they're giving the results of the test for this. So this is where working with a practitioner who can read between the lines, who can start to make the connections like, interesting, here's your low adrenal function, and we know that you have a suboptimal functioning thyroid right now. Interesting, you've been dealing with IBS and all of these gut issues. and your dopamine or your 8-OHDG is out of balance. Interesting. You've got these horrific periods, or you used to have horrific periods because now you're in menopause, brutal breast tenderness. You struggled with your weight, cravings, you don't sleep well at night. Oh, and we see this, and this is happening. Oh, you've got cystic acne. Wow, look at the way that you're actually moving those androgens in your body. And this you can't go to your doctor for because they don't run the dried urinary test for comprehensive hormones. Even if you were to take your results to them, they're just not trained in it. And that's not saying that is a hit. That is literally just like they have their scope of practice and we have our scope of practice. This is my scope of practice. So if you're interested, you really want the lens. I do not just offer this test as a one-off because you need to understand all of these elements and how it relates to you, your lifestyle, and the recommendation. So that is the Hormone Project. So you can apply www.jenpike.com/the Hormone Project. And yeah, maybe we have the opportunity to work together someday. And I know that this day I am wishing you all more simplicity and more ease in all that you do. And I'll see you back real soon.